Welcome to the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show with Larry Lawson. As a former career law enforcement officer and law enforcement educator, Larry focuses on the use of tried and true law enforcement investigative techniques in conducting paranormal investigations. Despite his experience and training, Larry also keeps an open mind to discussions on topics that deal with evidence that are not quite as physical in nature. Paranormal Stakeout guests are professionals in the field of the paranormal and parapsychology, conducting the investigations and research needed to further the cause of paranormal study. Larry advocates an agenda of standardization of structure and training in the field of paranormal investigation and research for the purpose of one day being able to produce the evidence needed to convince a jury of the existence of the paranormal. Whether it is ghosts, UFOs, unsolved mysteries, hauntings or cryptids, no topic is beyond the investigative reach of Larry Lawson and the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show team. Now, here is the host of the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show, Larry Lawson.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to the program. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, and it is great to be back with the X-Zone radio and television broadcast family. I'm coming to you from the great state of Florida in the old USA, where it's nice and warm down here right now. I want to take a second to thank Rob McConnell and the entire crew at the X-Zone for bringing me back. For those of you that are familiar with me, seen some of my shows in the past, good to see you again. Glad you're joining us. For those of you that don't, a little bit about me. I'm an old cop, but I'm an old cop with a mission to find the answers to those troubling things that have been bothering mankind for millennium. Whether or not it's ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, conspiracy theories, it doesn't matter. We're going to tackle them all on this show here. And you being a part of it is a huge thing that I want to add. We're going to have a mailbag during the show, and if you want to ask questions, if you have questions to share with us, you can get a hold of me at www.paranormalstakeout.org. But my email is ghostguy@paranormalstakeout.org. Send me your questions, and we'll answer them right here on the show. And share our knowledge and maybe get a little extra knowledge from you at the same time. A little bit more about us. We are also part of the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigations. And we're a group of individuals that research the paranormal. So you can get a hold of us also at our website, IndianRiverHauntings.com or ParanormalFBI.com. So with that, I'd like to bring on my very, very first guest of this new season, and it's a gentleman named William Armstrong. Will comes to us from Glasgow, Scotland. Came here in 2014 when he married his beautiful wife and has been here ever since. Mm-hmm. He actually became interested in the paranormal watching a show called Ghostwatch, a mockumentary, I believe he said. Yes. And after that, he decided to enter the field of paranormal research investigation, and in not too long ago started up his show or his organization, Paranormal Exposures.
Yes, sir.
So he's got an interesting mixture of folks. And Will, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me tonight. It's nice to actually be here.
Now, you're obviously not from Iowa.
Correct. I'm not from Iowa. I wonder if it was the accent that gave it away.
No, ghosts in Iowa. I'm sorry. Are there ghosts in Iowa? Iowa is the home of Field of Dreams and Radar O'Reilly.
Yep, and also the home of John Wayne, of course. You know.
That's true.
Yes, Iowa does have ghosts. Maybe a lot of you folk out there are familiar with the big places in the paranormal world. Familiar with, Missouri State Penitentiary.
Yep.
Bobby Mackey's, Waverly Hills. You know all the places. But Iowa, have you heard of Malvern Manor?
Nope.
Malvern Manor has the most eclectic spirits that reside there, including one spirit that absolutely fascinates me just beyond belief. Villisca Axe Murder House. You've heard of that, right?
Those we have. Yep, those we
Okay,
heard.
that's like a big one fire that a lot of people will know. But do you know there's an actual theory? There's no evidence to back it up, but there is a theory that a lot of investigators are testing that Villisca and Malvern Manor are linked.
Well, I'd like to hear more about that theory, but first I'd like to know a little bit more about you and share with the audience a little bit more about you. How did you get connected to the world of paranormal research and investigation?
So I have to go back through the mist of time for this one for myself. It's Halloween night. It's 1992, right? And it's a Saturday night. Also, what you guys call trick or treating here, we call guising in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
So we get done with that, and this show airs. It's just a one-half episode. Maybe lasts like an hour and a half, right? It's called Ghostwatch, and I've got it here, so just so you guys can see it. Whoops, there we go.
Okay.
And it's a mockumentary, as it says, But at the time, this was like it was live. This was real. We were watching this show that has this family, a mother and two daughters that are under siege by something that's malevolent that's took claim to the house that they live in.
Okay.
A team that is kind of sent in to see what they can do to help. Well, the studio actually has set up their own base camp as well. They're watching events transpiring in the house. Well, they have this, hotline set up where people can phone in and be like, "Oh, hey, that's weird. She's having activity because I would have activity in my place," and this kind of thing. And as the show progresses, it becomes just kind of crazy. But me as a kid watching it, right, who has no experience of the paranormal, my perception of spirits, right, is they're only in cemeteries or graveyards or abandoned places. You don't something like that can be in your house, right, or businesses that are operational.
Sounds like you've got some activity there right now.
Yeah, let's just come back. But at the time, I'm thinking, well, I can't imagine this happening in somebody's own house, like your next door neighbour having something like that happen. And it's, at the time as well, the internet is also in its infancy, per se.
Mm-hmm.
So this led me to want to figure out the who's, the what's, the why's, the where's, and the when's, Why is a location purposely haunted, we'll say? What is the history and the background to that location that purposely, again, makes it haunted? Who are the resident spirits there? What's their names? What's their background? That kind of thing. It was that knowledge mail that I wanted, and nothing else.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because in law enforcement, one of the things we talk about are the what, where, when, whys, and hows of a crime, and that's exactly how we interpret, or we try to interpret our investigations, by going down that same line. So that's quite interesting, and that's what got you interested in the paranormal. What was your next step? What happened after that?
I was then briefly just then, hitting libraries. Like I said, the internet again is in its kind of infancy, so you don't have the knowledge at your fingertips like we do nowadays. So it's looking at getting the libraries, hitting at books, talking to people if they know any locations that are haunted. And of course, people would tell you, the white lady at this place and that, and of course, me, I would go there, and again, I would sit with a notepad and pen, because I don't have equipment, so effectively I'm using my body. They say your body is your best kind of equipment that you have, but at the same time, it can fool you as well. So I'm going to a location, I'm going, okay, so here's the time, date, temperature, things like that,
Okay.
So I'm going to just see what I can either see visibly or hear audibly. And then just go for that, and then of course I'm marked doing anything that would happen, what time it happened. And then, okay, how can I debunk this? Okay, so I heard somebody talking. Okay, that could mean somebody just by the road, or somebody going past. I heard something rustling. Okay, that could have just been an animal cutting through, things like that.
So what you're saying is that you are looking for the logical explanation for something before you jump to the conclusion that it's okay. All right, and that is an excellent way to go. There's way too many of us out there that I think jump to conclusions too quickly. So that's very, very intriguing. So this is all happening in Scotland. Did you actually conduct investigations in your younger years in Scotland at all, or?
Per se, I did a few here and there. I wasn't as much as what I do now.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones I did do were good. But most of my time was actually spent researching and getting to know locations. Knowing the whys and hows. Why does it? What triggers it? Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't know anything about the spirit world at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how it works. We don't know why it chooses to interact, when it chooses to. Why is there certain different types of hauntings? So residual versus intelligent versus poltergeist.
Okay.
It's like how it all works. That's what I try to figure out.
Well, I think that's what a lot of us are trying to do now, is to figure out that exact thing. Now, you end up coming to the U.S. 14 years ago?
Yeah, I came here December 21st, 2014.
Okay, in 2014. Okay, yeah. So just about 9 years ago then.
Aye.
Difference between investigating in Scotland and the U.S., or is there a difference, or did you just get better as time went on?
I don't think you'll ever be better. I think there's always something you can still learn in this field. I've learned from people who've been in it for a long time, and I've met people who have just started, and they've, through like a out the box question that I thought to myself, well, I never thought that. Why did I not think that? That's a pretty good thing. When it comes to investigation styles, no, I think they're pretty similar. Each group will, whether it's Scotland or it's America, will do the research and the location first. Obviously, no trespassing because we don't do that stuff. Good. Make sure it's a legit location that you can. Also, if you pay to go, that you get the time to be there. They'll do the research, they'll go in, do all the baseline stuff, things like that, and then proceed with the investigation. What would I say is different between America and Scotland? Locations are different. So, like the poor farms, things that you get here in Iowa, like places where from the poor farms, or like Edinburgh Manor, for example, where my wife is a representative of. You don't get a place like that back home in Scotland.
Mm-hmm. Well, I gotta put you on hold here, my friend, because we're about ready to take our first break. So a lot of interesting things. I'm anxious to hear about how you got your team going and what your team is made up of now, as well as some of your other philosophies. Excited folks, stay with us. We are going to hear more from Will Armstrong and Paranormal Exposures in about a minute or so when we get back. Once again, our website is Paranormal Stakeout. Paranormalstakeout.org and the ghost guy at paranormalstakeout.org. I'm getting this all mixed up on this first show. But anyway, stay with us. We'll be back in just about a minute or two. Thanks, folks.
From the Canada-US border in the southern region of Niagara, traveling north in Ontario's Golden Horseshoe, then east and west of the Greater Toronto Area, there is growing awareness and excitement as more and more people are starting their day with Beautiful Mind coffee, the delicious healthy coffee that your brain will love. Made with ethically sourced 100% Arabica coffee, Beautiful Mind coffee is roasted and ground in small batches to ensure each bag contains a wonderful full-bodied artisan coffee. Scientifically formulated, Beautiful Mind coffee is the only coffee blend that contains 3 herbal ingredients found to aid in boosting your daily mental clarity and focus. Maca root powder, green tea extract and American ginseng have been selected for their ability to support good brain health. Taking care of your brain's health now can help delay or prevent the onset of cognitive dysfunction, including dementia, Alzheimer's, and more general memory loss as you get older just by enjoying the delicious flavor of our roasted coffee and herbal ingredients found exclusively in Beautiful Mind coffee. Beautiful Mind coffee is now available at Amazon.ca and soon to be available in selected locations near you. In Hamilton, Ontario, Beautiful Mind coffee is now available at Livelong Wellness Clinic, located at 189 Hewson Street South. Beautiful Mind coffee can be ordered by telephone by calling 416-436-3675 or 905-536-2450. Why have a good cup of coffee when you can have a great cup of Beautiful Mind coffee that's good for your brain? For more information on Beautiful Mind coffee, visit us online at www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca.
And welcome back, folks, to Paranormal Stakeout. I'm your host, Larry Lawson. I just want to remind you to visit my website, www.paranormalstakeout.org. You can also write me directly with questions that you have that we'll answer right here on the show at ghostsky@paranormalstakeout.org. So please send in your questions. Well, really interesting conversation that we had. I'm really interested in your philosophies, and that's one thing that I want to bring out on this show. I want to bring out folks that are, I don't know if professional is the right word because nobody considers this a profession right now, but certainly experienced folks that are trying very, very hard to come up with answers. And I'm really enjoying hearing some of your philosophies. So getting here, you've come to the U.S. in 2014. You and your wife created an organization called Paranormal Exposures. When did that happen? How did you build the organization?
Well, we started in October 2021. The reason why that started is we were part of another team prior.
Okay.
And we kind of a split, so to speak, and I think that's one of the things that, why I'm so thinking with Power Unity, because I don't want to make the same mistake, So we started it up, and our members, or our group, are kind of mix of young and old, some experienced, some no experience. And the ones that are no experience, also we train them on the use of things and the style of investigating. But it does bring a little different dynamic, because you have that young mix, old mix. Some like research, some like, the equipment side of things. That kind of thing. So that's kind of how we built our little team,
Okay.
And it's worked really well for us at the locations we've been to in the last, year and a half, something like that. And it's worked out really well for us. And I'm liking where we're going. We always go to a location and we might not always get much, but we always think of new ways of trying something.
And that's interesting because so many times, people watch the TV shows and they expect things to happen within 30 minutes or, before the first break, they're getting some sort of evidence and they don't realize. I kind of equate paranormal investigations to a police stakeout, if I can use that. People see it on TV or the movies, they find a stakeout as exciting, bang, bang, shoot 'em up. The reality is you'll sit there for hours upon hours upon hours and get nothing and have maybe 15 seconds of a heart pumping adrenaline excitement.
And unfortunately, the TV shows are there for entertainment purposes.
Exactly.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll watch them as well. I do like it when I see it throw up, we're here at a new location. And I'm like, oh, cool, a new location I've never heard of before. Okay, I'm intrigued. I want to watch. I want to see where this new location is, What's this new location about? And that kind of thing. And again, that goes back to me wanting to find out the who's, what's, why's, and where's, that knowledge.
Sure.
That kind of thing. But again, it's entertainment purposes only,
Yeah.
You got a TV show that lasts, an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And 5 minutes into the show, they're already getting activity just like through the roof,
Yeah.
But we know in reality, doing an actual investigation, like you said, like about a stakeout, you can sit for hours and hours and hours, and then you get like a couple of minutes of action, then poof, it's done.
It's done, exactly. And I want to talk a little bit more about that later. I want to kind of get back to your team a little bit. How did you choose your members? How did they come to you? And more importantly, how did you train them?
A number of them came from our old team because they wanted to come with us. My oldest son and second youngest stepkid are in our team as well because they're interested in the paranormal, so we brought them into the team. Training wise, so as I was saying, my wife works as she's a representative of Edinburgh Manor, which is a little like an hour away from where we live. So also it's a location we've been there a number of times because
what kind of facility is it?
It used to be the Jones County facility.
A what?
It used to be the Jones County facility.
Like a county home. Okay, gotcha. All right.
Before that, it used to be a poor farm that was there.
Okay.
And then the poor farm was moved, and then they put Edinburgh Manor there.
Mm-hmm.
And it closed in 2010. So it's no terribly long ago, if you know what I mean. But that's a location that we've been there a number of times. Again, I'll always say that because of how close it is to where our team lives, because most of our team are in Cedar Rapids, where we live.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to that a lot of times, a number of times. So I'll admit that that's a location we go to a lot, because it's so close to us. But we train the team out there, We train them with equipment, how you interact with spirits, how you be respectful with spirits, because there's some teams that don't understand that aspect,
That's so true.
How you do your walkthrough, how do you walk through, how you get your baselines, how you get your readings, what interferes with your equipment, what doesn't interfere with your equipment,
Mm-hmm.
Even setting up a DVR system, which spot works best, that kind of, all the, not just the, well, I guess kind of what I put it is like just everything, and we take them through it.
So it's mostly on the job training, is what you're saying.
Kind of, aye.
Okay.
But then also you can be like, okay, I need you to go do this here. I need you to go there, and they can do it. You don't have to shadow them. The more they get used to it, the more it's like, well, they'll be fine. They'll be all right. They're not doing,
Well, I think that's kind of how most of us. Now, I had a little bit of an advantage over, I think, most folks, not necessarily in the paranormal world, but the understanding of the structure of an investigation, because that's what I did. But most of us, as far as the paranormal, as well as the investigative side, it's all on the job. There's no official training class for that, and that's in the next direction. I kind of like you to get your thoughts on. You trained your team on the job. Do we need standardization and training? Do you have any thoughts on that?
To a degree, it helps. I think it does. Prior to an investigation, we'll have like a team meeting, set goals. This is where we're going. This is what we want to achieve, and let's get to it. It does help to have a little bit of knowledge get in, especially if you're using equipment that, somebody using equipment they don't know what they're doing with. They've been picking up like false readings, and claiming it as paranormal. Well, no, it's because of this, X, Y, Z. That it does help, especially like you say, you also have that advantage, being a former police officer. So you have that kind of baseline of how you do an investigation. For us, it's like, well, okay, we need to work it differently, but that's fine. We can work with it and just,
and that's kind of where I'm coming from too. Like how I like to describe it. We have a homicide here in Vero Beach. They have a homicide in Iowa, your town in Iowa. There's some rules that are going to be different because each state has a different maybe way of doing some things. But generally speaking, the investigation of a homicide is going to be the same here as it is up there, as far as, and that's kind of where I'm coming from. And my feeling is that if we do it that way, then we're going to be able to compare evidence a whole lot better, a lot cleaner.
We've been to, in Iowa, whether it's Malvern, whether it's Edinburgh, whether it's Squirrel Cage Jail, which is one of the few remaining jails in America that is Rotary.
Rotary, right, yeah.
We'll still go in the same approach it the same way, but if things can change, and also we have that enough training to change away, and not be like, okay, what do we do now because we don't know what's going on,
Yeah, well, and that's true. You've got to be flexible. I'm going to conduct an interview differently than you. Our personalities are different, our backgrounds are different, but still, if we ask the same questions, maybe even in a different order, it doesn't matter as long as the right questions get asked. Now, let me ask you this also. Equipment, and if we get a chance, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what you use, but do all of your people know how to use the equipment and understand why it works? And have you ever seen other teams that didn't have, your team does, but your past team, did everybody understand how the equipment worked?
They did. But then again, I've seen my team members when first starting, using it incorrectly, and we'd be like, hey, wait a minute, stop,
Mm-hmm.
think about what you're doing. Why are you getting that reading? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, my phone's in my... Did you get a message? Did you get... Well, leave your phone at base camp, you know? Don't take your phone with you, you know?
Right.
Kind of
Okay.
thing. But it's not a... Like, put them on the spot, make them feel bad. It's just like, hey, this is one of the reasons why you were getting that.
Mm-hmm.
So we can eliminate that. If you take that phone away, we can eliminate this, right? You know, did you check the room you're in? Does it have electricity? You know, check from, you know, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Running DVR systems, you know, you set up the cams, you know, how you get all that. It's just, I mean, I've had it with my team as well. I was like that first when equipment was starting to come out. I was green, I was novice with it, so I made mistakes, and I'm happily, I can admit that, you know. But you learn from it, you know. As long as you're not putting it out there as paranormal content and saying, look at this, I'm getting massive surge in the K2 meter, you know, when you could easily debunk it and say, well,
And you obviously mentor your people. It happened with your current team. It apparently happened, you know, with the team you were before. But haven't you seen, or are you aware of teams out there that really don't have that type of mentorship, and they just go out and they watch the TV show so they know how to use the equipment?
I believe there's a difference. You have paranormal investigators, right, and then you have ghost hunters. Now, I've seen these two terms quite a lot.
Okay.
The paranormal investigator is somebody who has degrees. You know, they do research, they dig into the history, they know what they're doing, they have their investigation style, like you say, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And ghost hunters, I think they do a little bit a little bit of digging into history, and they have the equipment and whatever. But it's the thrill, I think, the seeking of the thrill, you know.
I actually have a name for that: paranormal thrill seekers, and you know. It's that kind of thing. They're going out to hear the bump in the night, and oh, that's great, and forget about it and move on.
Or you know, again, also trying different experiences is fine, but some like to try to like go beyond the boundary. You know, like how can we push this to make make it as scary as possible? You know, hey, I'm going to leave this person in the basement by themselves, and we're going to leave, and they'll come back for about an hour. I need you to just sit there and just in pitch black, you know, and you know. It's like a step up for a haunted attraction. You know, you go to a haunted attraction on Halloween.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Scared, you know, and the actors come out and they jump in, they're scaring you left, right, and centre. I think it's kind of like that, but it's an actual haunted location, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's an important distinction to make. There are those of us that are trying to find answers to what this phenomenon is, and there's others that are just looking for the thrill of the moment. And there's a place for everybody. I mean, I wouldn't jump out of an airplane for anything, but some people do because it's a great thrill for them.
Oh, no,
but you understand my point, and I think that's a differentiation we have to make between the two groups in order for us to move our position forward as far as a profession, maybe. I don't know if that's the great word. Listen, we're about ready to take our next break. So folks, stay with us. Great conversation. Got more to talk about, including evidence and the term of paranormal unity. Looking forward to talking about that. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes with my guest today, William Armstrong. We'll be right back. And we are back with my guest today, Will Armstrong, up there in Iowa. Now, what town are you in again, Will?
Time, I'm at 7:18 p.m.
No, town. What town are
sorry,
you?
I always say time. Whoops.
It's a Florida accent. Sorry,
It's that Minnesotan accent. Cedar Rapids.
Cedar Rapids. Okay. Beautiful. It's cold up there. You guys are having a nasty cold front come through, aren't you?
No, we're actually going to be clear tomorrow. Maybe a small chance I went to a mix, but that's it.
Sorry, that's why I live in Florida. It's too cold for me. Interesting things about your team. I really enjoy hearing about your philosophies. And I can tell you right now, I'm gonna have to have you come back again in the future because I'd like to talk to you a little more detail about some of the equipment you use and how you use it, because I think that's really important to the audience out there. But the question I've got to ask, and I've got to you got to ask a paranormal investigator this all the time. Most significant event that has happened to you while you've been conducting an investigation, or when it just maybe even just popped up on you. Most significant event involving the paranormal.
I would say something that's popped up on me. I wouldn't say I've had like a big event that's like, that caught me, but it's, for me in the paranormal world, it's the very small things, right? They really catch you off guard. It's not the big things. I'll give you just one example of this, right? And also you can take how you see it. I was at Edinburgh Manor one time with a team, and I had a spirit, SB7 spirit box running, and I was walking on the women's ward, first floor, going to room 105, which is at the end. And that day it had been raining. It was, raining really heavy. The wind is blowing, you can hear it outside the building. I'm like, oh, this is going to really contaminate our evidence, especially running recorders, because you can hear the wind, But the spirit box is running, and I'm asking a few questions just to see what I can pick up, I go into room 105, I set the spirit box down on a chest of drawers, and I walk up to one of the windies, and I kind of open up, and I'm like, and I say it loud, and I wasn't saying it for a reaction, I wasn't saying it for anything else other than, you're just kind of saying it out. And I said, oh man, what a murky day it is out there. And the spirit box, which had just been kind of, it was kind of quiet, all of a sudden just goes, we know. And I'm like, oh, I bet you do know. And I'm like, wait a minute. And it's that kind of small thing,
Yeah. Sometimes it is those little things. Now, I've got to ask you an obvious question here with the spirit box, knowing how they operate. No chance it was a radio station.
I thought that, but then I thought about what I've kind of threw this one in my mind, because I'm like, okay, it could be that, but I would just remember what I'd said when I was on the window. I'm like, hey, it's a murky day there, and then I hear we know, I'm like, is it coincidence? Is it, I wouldn't say it's classified evidence. I wouldn't put it out there and say, hey, look at this, guys, It's just something that I sit and think about,
Oh, no, I know. I totally get
it. It just felt very coincidental, asking like, hey, this is a murky day outside, and then getting, we know,
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's not something I would classify as evidence. I want to throw it out there,
Anything else anything that has really cemented your view in the belief there's something else out there?
I just believe there's something out there. And I think the only way we're really going to find out, because like I said, I think prior back, is we don't know anything about the spirit world, how it works, why it does what it does. I think the only way we're generally going to find out how and what it is, when we're 6 feet deep, I truly believe that's the only way we're going to find it, we can get little tidbits here and there when we do these investigations, but it's not enough to say, hey, this is legit 110% real, here's the proof, guys,
I agree with you. I think, how to put this, we don't know. People that tell you they know exactly what this phenomena is are either trying to fool you or they're trying to fool themselves, because we really don't know. We don't know what the full answer is yet. And if you even talk to folks that are real mediums, and I there's a couple that I deal with, they'll say the same thing. They don't know either. They don't know the true answer to all of this. And I think that's where we in this field get a little bit mixed up, where we've got folks out there that claim to know a whole lot. But I don't think anybody knows really anything yet.
You can be in the field for 30 plus years and still not had anything, but that doesn't mean to say it's not real. We don't understand how it operates. It has its own sort of, I think it has its own sort of thinking, its own separate entity, so to speak, its own.
Mm-hmm.
And we could probably sit and figure this out for years and years and years.
So what is this phenomenon? What do you think ghosts are? Do you have a personal opinion? Not asking for proof, just your personal opinion.
It can be leftover energy, Einstein believed that energy was, when you die, you became this energy, We break it down into not just spirits, right? Okay, we have like UFOs, we have cryptids, ghosts. There's a mix of it all, and it kind of fascinates us, but we just don't know too much about it, You can never claim to be an expert because I don't think there's experts in this field.
I totally agree with you that.
No, but it doesn't make you an expert,
I totally agree with you on that. Well, so getting back to Einstein, Einstein actually talked about dimensions in his general theory of relativity. Is that what this is?
One, it could be. I mean, one of the things that always intrigued me was the Bermuda Triangle.
Mm-hmm. How
can planes and ships just disappear?
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that's explainable? You can say, okay, it's definitively that's what's happened to them, or did they accidentally just go in another dimension? And it's just something about that one area, that location, that anything goes in, just poof, gone,
Yeah. Well, I give you a little hint. There's going to be a future show on Paranormal Stakeout about Flight 19, because I have a theory, and we're working on that right now. And hopefully we'll have some actual evidence on that. So,
and again, like you say, a lot of the stuff we have or think is theory, and it's like I was saying to you about the theory. Again, no actual evidence to support this between Malvern Manor and Villisca.
Right.
What happened that night in Villisca, and then it somehow ties in with Malvern Manor. And a lot of investigators have actually, well, so also when the killings happened at Villisca, right?
Yes.
Also, they never caught anybody, so technically I believe it's still an open case because nobody was ever caught. Although they have the theories of who the murderer was. It's a theory, again, I don't know how this came about, but a lot of the investigators are actually trying this out to see if it actually legit works. Is that the killer go on a train?
Boarded a train, okay.
And stopped by at Malvern. And at the time it was a hotel. People, go there, stay a night or two, and the killer went there, stayed the night, and then the next morning left. And Villisca and Malvern are only like, an hour apart or something like that? They're not that far apart from each other. They're very close by.
Where are they building the theory from that he stopped at that hotel? Just a hunch, or
it could be a hunch, it could be a theory. I don't know. I remember just hearing about it and all investigators trying it out. So I'm like, I mean, okay. I mean, I'll try it. I'm not saying against it, but so we were at Malvern Manor one time investigating, and then I decided, hey, I started asking a few questions and trying to see if anything would come out of that, but nothing came out of it. So I don't know.
So they think he got away in the train. Maybe that's an interesting theory.
Stopping at Malvern when it was a hotel,
right.
Staying the night, and then also getting a train from Malvern to wherever he went to.
And moving on. Well, once again, these are all some of those theories that we're just trying to work on that we just don't know the answers to. But I think a lot of times we're really too quick to jump on the paranormal answer. We haven't done our research. And you mentioned research a little while ago, and I wanted to ask you about this real quick. What kind of research do you do? Let's just say somebody asks you to come to their building that they own. They believe it's haunted. You say you do research. What kind of research do you do before you go?
I'll dig into as much research as I can about the building. Also, I'll go online, find out about that. Okay, what is that building? When was it built? Was there something there previous?
Mm-hmm.
If there was, okay, what was there previous? Who were the people that owned it or ran it, or etc. What happened on that property? That kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
Try and get it as close to the truth as possible. I'll take as many notes as possible, and also address the team like, okay, this is what I found. This is kind of sketchy, so I'm not going to go with it. But this here is all truth. This is what I work with. Once we get there.
How do you feel about telling your team about what paranormal activity there's been before you go in?
I will tell them that there's, there is potential for paranormal activity. It might not happen. They're just claims, and until we can prove otherwise, you know.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is, do you want them to go in with look, there's a lady in white seen up there on the stairway at 8 o'clock every night, or
no, but I don't want my team getting blind either. I like to know history of a place. I think it's critical to your research. I mean, you can go in. I know some teams like to just go in pure blind and just see what they get.
Right.
And that's fine. That's if that's their style, that's how they operate. But I like us to know our information, or and research is part of that.
Mm-hmm. And we're the same way. We'll share with the team. We have actually a person on our team that does that research. When was it built? Who lived there? Certainly, if there are any tragedies, we'll talk about that. But we really don't discuss what the reporting person or the client, if you want to use that term, has seen, because we don't want to influence what our folks will see, because even and this is just my opinion, even in the best of times and with the best of intentions, people can be programmed. You say, and that's what I worry about.
There is a lot that can be explained. Not everything is paranormal.
So true.
95% also is probably not paranormal, but then you have that 5%. It's like, okay, I've tried everything to debunk and explain, and I can't, so I'll take that to the side of it,
Mm-hmm. Well, debunking is important. We just, the team, we were at a St. Augustine Lighthouse not too long ago, and we actually got a picture of what we thought was a silhouette of a person. Boy, it looked exactly like it. We talked to the team member that took it, and no, there was nothing behind it. Well, okay, we got to look a little bit further. And after doing some additional research, we found that there was a silhouette. It was a directional sign, and the silhouette was of a human that it appears to be reflected off of it. And kudos to the St. Augustine Lighthouse staff, because we called them up, asked them to check, and it would have been in their best interest to say, "Oh no, I think you caught something," but they didn't do that. They said, "We think that's exactly what it is." So we debunked it. We try to take the extra step to debunk it, because we want to do things the right way, and it sounds like you do also. So we're about ready to come up. We got about 30 seconds now before our next break, Will. And when we get back, I want to talk to you about the thing that actually brought you to my attention, and that was your desire for paranormal unity. So I want to talk about what that is and what direction you're taking your team along those lines. So folks, stay with us. We're coming up on our last section here, but I think you're going to enjoy it. Here with my guest, Will Armstrong. Be right back in just a couple of minutes.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
And we are back, folks, with my guest tonight, Will Armstrong. Folks, the biggest reason I wanted to come back and really begin this show again was to bring to you what other folks are doing in the field, talk to you about what they're doing, give you their philosophies, spend some time talking about how they conduct their investigations, where they're getting their information, how they interpret it. By doing that, we create something that is very near to my heart, and it's called paranormal unity. And what that is, para-unity, we call it. It's groups coming together for the purpose of sharing information to find the answers. Now, as a retired law enforcement officer, I would investigate a case, and sometimes I would be darn sure what had happened. But after I followed the evidence, looked at it with an open mind, sometimes the result isn't what I thought it would be, and it was something totally different. The paranormal can be no different, but until we get to the point where we can share and work together as a team collectively, we're never going to find those answers. And Will, that is one of the biggest reasons why I wanted you on this show. And one of the things that brought my attention to you was your desire for para-unity. Without putting any more thoughts in your minds, tell me what your concept of that is, and let's talk about that for a minute.
Para-unity, that's one of the big things with me, because I've noticed lately, well, maybe the last couple of years, that we're not working together the way we should be to advance this field. I feel like the field is starting to kind of stagnate a little bit, We should be working together as one big group to, how do I put this? Regardless if we have been in this field for 10 seconds or 10 years, we should be working together to prove that, the paranormal is real. I love working with other teams. I love working with other people. I love answering questions or talking about equipment or things like that. I will help with anybody, I like sharing the things for other teams because I want to support them 110%,
Well, law enforcement was the same way for generations. Agencies would have a case and they'd work it and they would not share information with another case. In our neck of the woods, a county agency wouldn't share with the city and vice versa because they weren't going to give up their info. And crimes didn't get solved because of that. And as we grew as a profession, we finally realized sharing information and creating databases and banks to share information between organizations, we began to solve crime. It works for us. That's another reason why the standardization of training is an issue for me. Not that we all have to do it the same, but if we all have the basic framework, then we can share information. And we know that what you got up there in Cedar Rapids and what I got down here in Vero Beach is going to be collected the same way.
Right.
And until we in the paranormal field can understand that and not say, it's mine, I can't let anybody hear it.
It's the hoarding aspect, It's like if if some groups get evidence, regardless what that evidence is, if it's legit evidence, it's hoarded. It's no put for the community to be like, hey, look at this, guys, Can you debunk this for me, or can you confirm that this is legit? There's nothing wrong with putting evidence out there that you think is evidence and being shot down, Okay, somebody debunked it. Okay, I get it, You move on,
Well, but I think also it helps in how it's done too. I've seen some organizations that would eviscerate people with their evidence, and that's not productive either. It's, hey, did you try this, this, and this to get that? And maybe if you do that next time, maybe you'll get a clear answers to what it was.
Well, it's like you see a lot of people, the big thing that people get mocked about, right? Okay, and you'll know this straight away is orbs, right?
Oh,
that's
please.
The one thing people get mocked about.
Yeah, sore spot with me.
But should we mock these people? Should we sit there and be like, telling them this and that, or should we try and educate them and be like, hey, look, let's look at it this way. Okay, you think this is an orb, right? But it could be X, Y, Z.
Right.
Thought about that. Think about it for a second, And rather than sit and mock these people and make jokes of them, what if we just educate them instead? What if we were nicer in approach? Would that help these people fall in the field to be like, okay, I need to take a more realistic approach in my investigation, kind of reading out or reducing the thrill-seeking side to putting it towards more research investigation side,
Absolutely. I mean, I personally, and this is just my opinion, think that most orbs can be easily explained naturally. But on the same token, have we really done research on that? I mean, and I don't know about you, but I think this is probably one of the biggest arguments we have in our field between ourselves. Is an orb a spirit or is it dust? Which one is it? But have we taken the time to do some research to either prove or disprove? And I think if we did, and there was a paper written on it, it was talked about in for lack of conventions or workshops, people would have a better understanding. And I think that's another part that it could be very helpful in Paraunity, is researching it and sharing the data.
Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, I hate saying it, but it's a mocked subject,
Oh, it is. I gotta admit,
touch it,
in our own group, we argue about it, but it's all in good fun. Half of my team says orbs or something, and the other half says, no,
yeah, it's dust, really. Or it's a bug, or it's something, Yeah. But unfortunately, it's a mock subject, and nobody's willing to approach it. Like, I mean, maybe there is people that want to approach it with realism and try to figure out what it is, but unfortunately, the way it is, no.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at. Not only orbs, but different aspects. Pareidolia. You're familiar with the term pareidolia. Yep. There are some people that will look in a window and swear that there's a face there, when in reality, it's just visual pareidolia.
Yep, and then post a picture with a wee circle, saying, hey, here's a face I've seen here, or here's the 3 faces here, and of course people will be like, hey, it's this. Do you not realize that? And of course, it leads to this, horrendous assault on the person because
that's wrong.
Know what it was.
That's absolutely wrong. And that's part of what I'm getting, not only sharing information, but doing research to come up with the right answer or give a possible explanation. Ridiculing somebody is not where it's at.
No, it's not going to help the field in it. Does it help full stop? Doesn't matter if they've been in the field for a day or 100, 10 years, whatever. Don't. Mm-hmm. And, somebody's just getting into this field, right? You want that person to be in the right frame of mind. They might not be experienced as you. So when they post something that's what they claim is evidence, and you can go, well, actually, no, it's this. It's easily debunked. Be like, hey, this is going to suck for you, but it's actually this, But, at least so the next time you're in an investigation, you know what you're looking at for, because you just started it. No, look at you posting this stuff, you dunderhead, this is.
Well, and that's what Paraunity is all about. It's not all about me keeping the evidence to myself, but it's also about research and training and coming to an understanding. See, another thing that I think people forget is, we may not, once we research this, let's just say we have a breakthrough somewhere in the pareidolia, in the paranormal, but the answer isn't what we wanted. I mean, we want to prove ghosts are real, but what if the evidence takes us to a point where it's actually something else? We have to be ready to accept that and share that. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but we're not going to get there. We're not going to get to the answer unless we all work together. That's the bottom line.
No, we have
in my view,
as one unit to follow the field. Get it beyond where it should be, rather than just sitting still and mocking each other for certain things we post or what we consider evidence. Or we're not going to go any further.
We ever going to find the answer, Will? Are we ever going to actually find the answer?
I think I did say to you earlier, the only way I would like to find the answer, I think it would be nice to have that definitive answer, but in my heart, and I say this with all truthfulness, I don't think we'll ever find it until we're 6 feet deep. That's honesty, but I can be honest with that, but it's not going to stop me from trying. It's not going to stop me from doing what I do,
Oh, I'm with you 100%. You don't give up just because you keep pushing forward. And I 100% agree to you. Will Armstrong becomes the president of the International Paranormal Society. What's your first edict? How are you going to bring this all together?
Would that be the Scottish way or the
Will Armstrong way, the paranormal exposure way?
You know what? It can be a difficult field at times, but don't give up. Stick to what you do what you do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you do it right, research, know your equipment. But at the end of the day, treat your fellow investigators with respect. Be nice, believe in para-unity. And I know a lot of people don't believe in para-unity. I know a lot of people have their thoughts on it.
No, we won't get there until people do, but you're right.
No, but if we work together, if you guys work together, you can make magic. You can make magic happen. You can make this field be so much more than what it is. And that's not just for looking for spirits. That's, cryptology, and that's UFOs or, Bigfoot, that kind of thing. The whole field can move forward as one, as opposed to going in different directions because people want to do, their own little thing,
We got to come together. That's the language I like to hear. Will, I'll tell you what, and until we get to that point, I think we're going to keep running into a brick wall. And the folks that are just flat, I mean, there are some folks out there, Abraham Lincoln, I like to say, could sit down in front of them and say, look, this is the way it is. And give them examples of what it is on the other side. And some people still won't believe it. Yet there are some people that believe if the wind blows a certain way. We've got to come to the middle, and we've got to meet in the middle. We've got to have an organization, some sort of organization that brings us together so we can train, so that we can work together and eventually come up with the answer, regardless of what it is.
And we will move forward as one.
And we will.
You can have obstacles in your path, but you can move around an obstacle.
Absolutely.
It doesn't stop you.
Well, we're about out of time. Man, this went quick. I've got so many more questions I want to ask you, but we'll have to have you come back again if you'd like. If you wouldn't mind.
If you would look at me, I'd be.
We'd be happy to. And folks, thank you so much for joining us once again. I'd like to remind you to go to my website, www.paranormalstakeout.org. You can also go to my website, or my email rather, ghostguy@paranormalstakeout.org. Write your questions down. Send them to me. At the beginning of each show, we're going to end up answering your questions as best we can. Also, check us out at IndianRiverHauntings.com and our YouTube channel, Indian River Hauntings, as well as Facebook. We've got a lot of things happening. Looking forward to future shows. Thank you for joining us tonight. And until we meet again, take care, and we'll see you on the other side.